So how do we know if a parabola opens left or right? First, let me reiterate standard form, this time for parabolas opening left or right. If P in this equation is positive, then our parabola opens to the right. If P is negative, our parabola opens to the left. And I've written it again for up and down. For the up and down case, if P is positive, it opens up, and if P is negative, it opens down. So if P is ever positive, depending on whether you're working with X and Y's, if P is positive, it opens either up or to the right. If it's negative, it points down or to the left. Which kind of makes sense considering the fact that in our coordinate systems, down and to the left is really negative, negative X and negative Y. Up and to the right is really positive, positive X and positive Y. So with how I've described P here, how do you know whether P is negative or positive? That really has to do with the focus. The focus is always H plus P. You always have to add P to get to the focus. So, in this case, P seems positive. It is positive, because I have to add a positive number to X in order to move further up the X-axis. But, if it was the other way, let's say this were my parabola. In that case, this is my vertex. And my focus is going to be over here. That means X is going to decrease. I'm taking something away from it. P is negative in that case. And just like the directrix is described with X equals H minus P in the case of an opening left or right parabola, for the case of an opening up or down parabola, like we usually did with quadratics, we have that the directrix is Y equals K minus P. There's a lot of information going on here, so I'm going to try to put it together really well. Here I've written everything you need to know about parabolas to solve any problem you'll ever encounter with parabolas. The vertex is always H comma K, and what I've written in red is for the case of parabolas opening up or down. Ones where X has a quadratic term and Y is just linear. I used yellow or gold for the color referring to quadratics, or parabolas rather, opening left or right. The focus is always H comma K, and depending on which orientation you're in, if you open up or down or left or right, you either add P to the Y component or the X component. If you open up or down in any of the Y directions, your directrix is going to be Y equals K minus P. And similarly for X, if you open in any of the X directions, left or right, your directrix is X equals H minus P. Also, I've written in a quadratic analog. In the lesson on quadratic functions, we learned that it's really convenient to write quadratic functions of the form y equals a times the quantity x minus b squared plus c. Well, if you compare this to the equation for parabolas opening up or down, if you compare this to this down here, then you end up getting that a is equal to 1 over 4p, b is equal to h, and c is equal to k. So any problem you ever encounter regarding parabolas can be solved using these equations. A lot of material has been covered in this lesson, so please look at the examples to learn a lot more about parabolas and seeing these equations in use.